Ukrainian drones drop grenades destroy 390 Russian soldier in trenches Bakhmut. In the new footage released by the Mechanized Battalion of the Presidential Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces shows a number of Russian troops being crushed by Ukrainian drones grenade attack, and Ukrainian troops also attack Russian trenches in a drone video footage. To capture last passage to Bakhmut, the Ukrainian 3rd Assault Brigade posts more footage of trench fighting in the battle for Bakhmut. Ukrainian troops struggling to keep the last passage to the besieged city open, and posting footage shows Ukrainian soldiers advancing down a trench occupied by Russian troops while throwing grenades at the Russian troops. While the drones of the Ukrainian troops also dropped bombs into several trenches the Russian troops were hiding. However, from the drones' attack, the Ukrainian troops hit with right on target. At the same time, footage released by the Brigade 10th shows Ukrainian troops using armed drones to drop bombs on Russian troops in trenches. The place was finally showered with drone bombs by the Ukrainian troops. On the other hand, the Ukrainian troops also shows the Russian troops' tank and ammunition is destroyed with artillery and explodes in a huge explosion in battlefield. This footage released by the Brigade 10th of the Ukrainian forces. Meanwhile, more than 20,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in fighting in Ukraine since December. A further 80,000 have been wounded, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, citing newly declassified intelligence. Half of the dead are from the Wagner mercenary company, who have been attacking the eastern Bakhmut city. Russia has been trying to take the small city since last year in a grinding war of attrition. Moscow currently holds most of Bakhmut, but Ukrainian troops still control a small portion of the city in the west. The fierce battle has taken on huge symbolic importance for both sides. Ukrainian officials have also said they are using the battle to kill as many of Russia's troops as possible and wear down its reserves. Russia's attempt at an offensive in the Donbass region largely through Bakhmut has failed, Mr. Kirby told. Russia has been unable to seize any real strategic and significant territory. The U.S. estimate that Russia has suffered more than 100,000 casualties, including over 20,000 killed in action. The toll in Bakhmut accounts for losses since the start of December, according to the U.S. figures. The bottom line is that Russia's attempted offensive has backfired after months of fighting and extraordinary losses. Kirby added he was not giving estimates of Ukrainian casualties because they are the victims here, Russia is the aggressor. The capture of the city would bring Russia slightly closer to its goal of controlling the whole of Donetsk region, one of 4 regions in eastern and southern Ukraine annexed by Russia last September following referendums widely condemned outside Russia as a sham. Analysts say Bakhmut has little strategic value, but has become a focal point for Russian commanders, who have struggled to deliver any positive news to the Kremlin. The Wagner mercenary group, which widely uses convicts and has become notorious for its often inhumane methods, has taken center stage in the Russian assault on Bakhmut. Its leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has staked his reputation and that of his private army on seizing the city, but he recently threatened to pull his troops out of Bakhmut. In a rare in-depth interview to a prominent Russian war blogger, he vowed to withdraw Wagner fighters if they were not provided with much-needed ammunition by the Russian Defense Ministry. The Eastern European country plans to take back its territories that have been occupied by Russian forces, who have built thousands of new defensive positions in strategic areas as they anticipate the attacks. Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov said on Monday that preparations for the counteroffensive are in their final stages, adding that Ukrainian troops are being trained to use the weapons and military equipment sent by Western allies. Alexei Reznikov also said that counterattacks had ousted Russian forces from some positions in Bakhmut, but the situation remained difficult. New Russian units, including paratroopers and fighters from Wagner, are being constantly thrown into battle, despite taking heavy losses. Gen. Alexander Sursky, the commander of Ukraine's ground forces. Former Russian commander Igor Girkin admitted on Sunday that Ukrainian troops were able to successfully fight Russian forces throughout the month of April as the war continues to drag on. In a Telegram post, Girkin listed a number of Russia's failures in Ukraine, such as the heavy losses near the Ukrainian city of Avdiivka, which Girkin wrote forced Russian troops to retreat again, leaving part of the positions previously occupied. He added that even though the battle in Bakhmut is still ongoing, Ukraine made advances while Russia has not. On the other fronts, local battles were fought and artillery and airstrikes were exchanged. The enemy Ukraine again managed to carry out the April battles successfully for themselves, as part of gaining time in the strategic defense. Next month the summer campaign and the go after the Ukrainians will begin, since our generals were unable to do practically anything during the winter and spring, except for achieving some goals in the Donbass region.
333.
Girkin has been giving assessments of the Russia-Ukraine war since it started last February. The conflict has extended throughout major Ukrainian cities such as Kyiv and Kherson. Meanwhile, Girkin has been an outspoken critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Russian Defense Ministry, and the Wagner Group, a private military unit that is helping Russian operations in Ukraine.